we never even took our clothes off.
It doesn't matter who I go to bed with, it's who I go to bed as.
I'm lesbian and a virgin.
Hello and welcome to The Spills, a queer pop culture chat show from Gay Star News. Today we're talking to the stars of Virgin Island. We've got Thomas and we've got Taylor here to join us. So you may have seen Virgin Island on Channel 4, and this is a reality TV show which explores the experiences of 12 virgins who have all come together to speak to sex therapists and somatic therapists to talk about their experiences, to explore intimacy, and possibly even lose their virginity, but you have to watch the show to find out what actually happens there. So we've invited Thomas and Taylor to join us today. Thomas, you went on a bit of a gender identity journey on the island, and Taylor, you, can I say, came out as a lesbian.
Oh, honestly, everyone's like, I knew already. I was like, you could have told me.
Would have saved me a trip to Croatia. But yeah, it's been really great to see these guys on the island and see their journeys. So let's get into it. So guys, how did you end up on Virgin Island?
For me, it was a case of my friend posted in the group chat kind of as a joke. And then I started filling out the application form. I didn't actually submit it initially, but it apparently was like a live sort of survey. And so they contacted me and like asked for an interview and just snowballed from there.
So you had kind of not really gone all the way, even with the application.
No,
but then,
just can't commit.
it was enough to get them interested. And Taylor, how did you end up on Virgin Island?
I watched, terminally online, and I watched a TikTok of Taylor Tomlinson, and she was talking about like Channel 4 hosting a new show, and then I was talking to a colleague about it, and she encouraged me to fill in the application, and actually the same, I didn't finish it. I needed to put a photo of myself on, and I was like, well, I'm not doing that, because I was like, oh God, like I'm not Channel 4 material. But then I got a call because it was live, and they were like, we just need your photo. And I was like, oh, so I sent a photo, and she was like, okay, interview time. And then 4 whole months of...
It was a long process.
It was a long process. It was good though, like, but it was like, oh, you made it to the next round, and we're like, ooh.
Because like, the whole time I was kind of in denial that I'd ever get on the show.
I didn't think they'd pick me either.
No.
I was like, there must be someone more interesting. They were like, oh no, like this chick cries, like even in the interview process. I was like, I'm brave, I'm strong, and then they were like, oh yeah. They were like, she's an emotional wreck. We need her.
First of all, tell me a bit about that application process, because I think one perception that people maybe have about the show is that, you know, you're being pushed past your boundaries, and that, you know, are you fully comfortable with everything? So tell me a bit about how you actually get cast and what the therapy and things look like before even getting on the island.
So, I mean, I treat the initial form like a therapy session and just spilt my guts on the form, because they asked about, like, you know, what it was like for you growing up, what your experience with certain things were. They were, what experience with porn was just its own question, because I feel like it's so prevalent, and it was so prevalent for all of us. And then the interview process for me, it was... so much of it was explained. Like, you think that we're going in totally blind. They did explain it. They didn't say exactly what we would be doing in the sessions. They did not mention the wall push. But they did tell us, like, it was somatic therapy. We were allowed to Google it. They encouraged you to research as much as you were comfortable. And they explained that there would be physical touch. Like, you could go further, but it's completely up to you. At every single point, you could turn around and say, this is too much. Even when you were on the island, even when you were in the room, you could just go, oh, and they'd be like, no. And you don't see all of the consent.
Well, consent was massive on the island. You had to give like verbal consent to everything. So I imagine like we cut it down simply because it's just us saying yes a lot.
It would be 3 years long if not. But we actually got into the habit of doing it just in the hangout as well.
Yeah.
And it just became a real, like, we would just constantly go, oh, can I sit next to you? Can I cuddle you? Because as you go in, you're in this intense thing. We were all like cuddling when it was cold and stuff, and it was really lovely, like, little place for us to all hang out together and really enjoy the experience. But yeah, consent is key.
Yeah, I was going to get to this later, but...
Oh, sorry.
I think let's get into it now. I kind of feel like it's almost like the sex education that everyone needs.
Definitely.
Even, you know, I would call myself sexually experienced, but I learned a lot from that show. And even just kind of learning the really subtle ways that you can check in with someone when you're in bed with them, I thought was like quite revolutionary, actually.
I think it kind of needs to be taught in schools as well, to be fair. Like, I remember my sex ed in school was horrendous. Like, the other class got to, like, put condoms and bananas and all that. We didn't. We just kind of, like, we watched one video and that was kind of it, effectively. I learnt so much on the island, I'd say, and I feel, like, equipped now to go out into the world, whilst perhaps I didn't beforehand.
I feel like there's a heavy focus on, like, for me in school, especially because I went to, like, a very religious school, on heteronormative relationships, and that sex is for one thing, and that's making babies. And it's very focused on, whereas they don't talk about the fact that it can be pleasurable and there are ways to keep yourself safe, and you don't have to have sex to feel intimate, and they completely skip over that because sometimes just sitting and cuddling, like those sessions that I had with Kat, I did not go all the way with Kat, but they felt so intimate and so wonderful because you have that intimacy, and we never even took our clothes off. And I think they completely skip over that in any kind of educational format. And then when you do start to self-educate, it's usually with porn. And that's very much like immediately naked. Like there's no build up or any kind of intimacy between these people because they're professionals and they're doing their job and they do a very good job. But they're there to do the one thing, and you don't get to see everything around that.
Yeah, totally. Like, I mean, I think that is a really big deal, what you just touched on. The way that sex education is really built around, like, you know, gender conforming straight people, and that is what sex is, because so much of it is focused on the health, which is very important, but like also, you know, there are health concerns obviously for queer people too. And so yeah,
Dental dams.
Dental
Nobody
dams.
ever tells you about dental dams, and that's for everyone. That's not just for ladies. That's for everyone. That's for everyone. But you don't learn about them. Nobody covers them, and it's the same with most things I find for women. Like when you go, if you want to go on birth control, they don't give you all the options. They tell, like, we'll put you on the pill, and if it goes wrong, we'll focus there.
Yeah.
Like, I remember getting a little sheet and I was like, what's this? Oh, it's a patch. How do I change that? Once a week. I was like, why is this not an option?
Yeah.
There's a sticker, and you put a smiley face, like, this grand, but I clearly don't need it. But like, I've got the two strongest anti-pregnancy things in the world. I'm lesbian and a virgin. Like, you can't win unless God decides to intervene, in which case, oh, yes.
Well, that was going to be one of my questions actually. Are you guys still virgins, if you don't mind me asking?
I am at the moment, but I do feel like I've still progressed this last year. I'm going out, trying to flirt and trying to pull, but nothing so far. But I'm optimistic now. At least. Before, I was very much like full of self-doubt and thinking, oh, I just can't lose my virginity, it's over. But now I feel like it's a matter of like when, as such, and I'm happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, it really felt like the show sort of almost makes it seem like you're all gearing up for like the act on the final day, on the final night on the island. But actually, it was much more about learning, like you say, all of those skills and those tools so that when it does happen, you're not like shit scared.
Yeah, I mean, before, I think I had suffered from like confidence issue, and like perhaps I might have lost it occasionally, but if things were progressing, I kind of run away. Like literally, I'd run away and say, oh, it was nice meeting you, and just run out the club, effectively. But yeah, now I've got social skills.
Very important.
Yeah.
He does have the best story. Because we have like little group chats, and he's just like, guess what? And we're like, yes.
Oh,
Spill the tea.
Saints is bad girl.
Oh my God,
Oh,
that was
that was
mate.
bad.
I think this girl was flirting with me, and we were like, this girl was heavily flirting. He's like, oh, I missed it.
It was like a dress-up party, and I dressed as a baked bean tin. She dressed as a Stacey
That's
bag,
hot.
and she literally pulled me to one side and said, "You go inside me." And I thought,
Straight over his head.
oh, that's a fun joke. Well, it was nice meeting you, and just kind of like left.
Oh my God.
A little sailor salute on the way out.
Oh,
Well, you know, at least you looked fire for the costume party.
thank you.
And how about you, Taylor, if you don't mind sharing?
I
don't have to.
No, I'm perfectly comfortable. I think that's a lot of the confidence that we've got is it's not stigmatized.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter either way. It's just a state of being that I'm currently at, and it can change any moment. But I put my best efforts towards it, but I feel like I've struggled to find like my kind of community with it. I'm still looking, and I have my little community of my virgins and everything like that, which is lovely. But it's the case of I've been on a few dates, but I now struggle because I've had this intimacy thing. And the type of girls I always end up meeting for these dates, I apparently have a really like nice face, and they're like, you're not very intimidating, and they say, oh, like most of them are bi and that it's their first date with a girl, and they do not know what to do because they're so used to the man taking the lead. And I'm just like, we need to start encouraging women to be a bit more forward, because all of the boys since the show's come out have got all these stories about the DMs they get in and all of these things. And I'm like, everyone's just really nice, and I don't know. Every so often someone's like, me and my girlfriend love you, and I'm like, okay, right, that one's just nice, but everything else, because I don't want to be the first one to be like, oh my god, like they're all in my DMs and they're just trying to be lovely to me, and I'm like, so it's very hard to do that. But now I've become quite confident. So usually my move in a club is I go up to somebody and that's it, and I go, gay? And they go, what? Are you gay? And if it's a yes, I go, are you single? Very important next question for me. But yeah, because I keep on ending up talking to someone and then she goes, and this is my boyfriend, and I'm like, oh no. But I think that's the dating world at the moment. It's so hard, especially because there's for women so few things. Like all the boys went speed dating, like Ben went speed dating, and I was so jealous, and there's no speed dating for women near me. The closest one is 3 hours away near you, and I was like, I might come visit you. Getting dire. But so I'm making my best efforts, but I think it's one of those things where it's I need that connection first, and that's what I'm looking for, because I know I can do it now, and now it's more about the person as opposed to like running out and getting it under my belt, because I know it's not be all end all. It's not as they weren't encouraging us to lose it for the sake of losing it. They were encouraging us to seek that intimacy that we need.
No, that's totally, and you know, even for, and going back to the sex education chat, it's like for queer women having queer, you know, AFAB sex, like what does losing your virginity even look like if you've never done it before? Like, because you're so told that losing your virginity is a penis and a vagina.
We had this conversation. I had this conversation with Kat on the island, because I was like, I don't know how I feel about taking off all my clothes, and she was like, well, you don't have to. It depends what you count as sex for a woman. And I was like, oh. So it's kind of one of those things where it's that discussion that you need to have with yourself and with your partner, and just it's hard to, because most people see losing your virginity as penetration, in which case I am to be a virgin forever. But
well, unless it's silicone.
But it's one of those things where you're kind of like, what counts? And it's not talked about, and it needs to be.
And I guess it's kind of whatever you feel comfortable with. And so I like to go on to the actual island situation. So I just really want to talk about that moment where you realized that you didn't want to be with Andre anymore, who was a male somatic therapist. Seemed like a lovely guy.
So lovely. I still feel bad.
I think he's okay with it.
I spoke to him, like, I think you missed girl wood chop, but like, that was the next time I saw Andre, like privately, and like I just was like, I'm so sorry, like, because he was so lovely, and everyone was like, oh, no wonder she's uncomfortable, but he really tried, and he didn't ask me anything other than like, oh, how are you enjoying it? Like, what was your life like growing up? And I just was, I don't want to see it. It wasn't on the cards for that session, but I think I was in my head so much about it. And it became very real. And that's what put it in perspective for me. But he was so patient, he was so kind, he did not know what was wrong with me. He was like, I think he was very much like, oh, she is really, he offered me to leave a couple of times, like, you can go. If he like, he was like, not like please leave, but like, you know, if you're really uncomfortable, we don't have to do that. I'm like, ask me the questions, I'm not coming back. So but he was so kind, and he was so lovely, and he was completely understanding of it. And then later on when I came out, he was like,
So just for the context of the viewers, Andre was your first matched partner, and you identified as bisexual when you first came on the island.
Yes, did.
And then you realized shortly after starting your sessions with Andre that he was not the right person for you on this journey. And then you got placed with a female somatic therapist called Kat.
Surrogate therapist.
Surrogate therapist.
Yes, so surrogate partner is a therapist who can guide you through sexual acts up to penetration, if that's what you want. And their role is they're not there to be a lover, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, anything like that. They're there to support you and get you through hurdles that you find that you have. Doesn't have to be penetration, doesn't have to be full sex or whatever you count as sex. Like for some people, the surrogate partner is just there to see a body. And that was something they provided. And I think they are still somatic, but Andre and Kat had a really special role in that they were the only ones who could work as a surrogate. The others all had they could do touch and they could do visuals, but they all had very clear limits and they'd express their limits, which was great as well because it's all about consent. Even therapists are people.
Yes.
And you've got to remember that they're people too. And it's one of those conversations that you have with your therapist as to what they're comfortable with as well, because you don't want anyone to feel uncomfortable. It's supposed to be amazing for everyone, is the whole point. But yeah, I got matched with Kat and she was really lovely. This had that role where they're linked with another therapist who was amazing, by the way. I know you only saw her briefly a couple of times, but she was really, really lovely. And it's all very coordinated. You go at your pace. And I always thought it was a bit like waves. So they say, where's your comfort? You work up to your comfort. You work a little bit past it. As soon as you get too uncomfortable, we go back. And then the next session, you come back and you do a wave a bit further and you find you can get a little bit further up the beach each time. And it's a really nice way to do it because you don't feel pressured. You feel like they know what they're doing. They know how to guide you through it. You know that if you lose emotional control, like I do all the time, if you lose emotional control, they're there to catch you. And that's what the important thing is. But therapists don't all provide that service. A lot of the therapists on the island were really, really amazing in other areas, and they had specialties. And you got matched with a few different people.
Yeah, so I was with to be fair, I was with Andre for a bit. It's not necessarily because it was meant to be a relationship, but just talking about identity. Even before I kind of realized who I was as such, it was we were discussing what it is to be a man nowadays, and the subject of Andrew Tate came up as well and things like that. But and then I got with Kat, and she was lovely, and that's kind of where I really kind of found myself.
It was almost like a personality match.
It was for me, yeah.
Yeah, because we had our first one was either with Celeste or Danielle, and then they matched us based off our first meeting. So it did feel really tailored to you. And they assessed what everyone needed, and then they had a therapist available to support that need.
Well, I mean, it was great that they had nearly as many therapists as participants because, it can take people years to find the right therapist for their specific needs.
Their cuddle pals were so cute.
They seriously were.
They used to look so we were so uptight and they were just cuddling and it was all very Roman. It was really lovely.
So you have this first session with Kat and there was just this incredibly moving moment where were you having a foot rub or she was massaging your feet?
So it's called a body check. There's an official term for what she's doing, and it's awareness of your body. So what she does is she applies just pressure, just down, and she worked from your feet up your legs to your thighs, and then she skips over the bikini bit, and she did my waist, my ribs, my shoulders. It goes all the way up to the top. You only saw her touching my ankles, but when I actually started to cry, I needed to move my legs apart so that she could reach my thighs because I have long legs, and she was kind of sat between my legs, and she put pressure on my thighs, and I wasn't scared, and that's what kind of set me. And I still get emotional about it. I was watching it and a bit
it's incredible. So you have this body check with a woman for the first time in your life. And you burst into tears in a really positive way.
Which is so unlike me.
But it was basically just this wave of relief.
Yeah.
That we all got to see as an audience of, not feeling fear about the person who's touching you, not feeling uncomfortable, and just feeling positive about this, not even sexual, but just kind of body experience. So tell me about that moment for you. Had you ever had that kind of contact with a woman before?
So I went onto the show I always said done bits. And for me, I've done two things, and both of them were very traumatic for me. I had seen a man's penis before. I was told it was a very nice one. But I cried for like 4 hours, and I didn't know why. And I thought, oh, it's because I was drunk. And he was such a gentleman. Nothing bad happened. He was very kind to me, but I pushed myself too far. And I think that's what people do, is they're so focused on losing it that they'll push themselves into a place of discomfort and ruin it for themselves. And then I did have an experience with a woman before, but it wasn't something I really want to. It was not really, how do I explain this? I wasn't really present. Right. So and there was a lot of blame. And I did write all of this, and I said, I don't know if this counts, because like you said, with women, you don't know if it counts. And I was so scared of doing it again and getting it wrong that this really changed things for me. And I'm crying again. I was doing so well. But that was like something that I came to the island with that they didn't touch on the show. And I remember speaking with Kat about it, and we said, we say a good cry. And I don't mean like, oh, I had a really strong cry, that was great, like cathartic. I mean like crying because I'm happy or because I'm feeling good emotions as opposed to sad ones, which is really lovely, which is what this is, so please don't.
No, I mean, I think it's really amazing to see all of these emotions is pouring out. And obviously you got to be there as a kind of witness to this in a way, Thomas. Like, did you see, because as a viewer, it honestly felt like that moment in The Wizard of Oz when the colour comes on, like for you, seeing you walk out of that therapy session, I'm a lesbian, this is the new me. And were you able to notice that as well?
I definitely saw like Taylor, like, I mean, like, you were a lot happier afterwards. Because like I think before like every session you were kind of a bit nervous, like definitely. And I don't know, that session you just were so much happier, so much more confident in yourself. I know you like.
You're gonna get me again. I'm so close to not crying. I'm so close.
Sorry.
They've not escaped. No, but
Because you show a lot of confidence beforehand, but like the confidence you showed afterwards was like almost on a different level. And it's just, and even last year as well, just seeing you like kind of blossom. We've been on like nights out together, and just seeing you.
great. We're great.
Yeah, just seeing you like flirt with women in the bar as well. And it's just like
tried my best.
you're in your element now.
Yeah.
And it's just like it's lovely to see.
Yeah, and we went to a musical rave.
Oh yes.
And we dragged Molly and Peter.
LGBTQ about that? It never been me.
It was really, really straight of us. A lot of people asked if we were married. No, but no, it was great. We've had a really good time, and I know it's the same after you, because obviously you came out to me, but you were like, oh, I don't know if I'm ready.
Yeah, I wasn't totally sure if I'd come up to the whole group. To be fair, I think I was just a bit nervous, like how would people respond. But I knew with you, you were like, well, you're the loveliest person. So I mean, I love everyone else as well.
Favorite.
But I just knew like if I opened up to you, you'd be very receptive, and thank you for that moment as well.
Yeah.
It was great. I felt like I was asking loads of questions, like, because I was like, but you just like women.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
I'm not quoting Glee in that speech.
You didn't quote and I didn't cotton on. That's the most shameful part of it. It was only you went, I quote Glee. I was,
Yeah.
oh, damn it.
It was like, it doesn't matter who I go to bed with, it's who I go to bed as what Coach Beast says when he comes out as trans.
I thought that was so meaningful. I was like, oh the cuff.
So I think that this is a moment which a lot of lesbians will resonate with.
I've had a lot of people saying, oh my God, I went through the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, I went through a very similar thing, or I'm going through the same thing. So like a lot of people saying they're going through the same thing. And I think it's one of those where they really get a lot, like it's so hard. You don't know how people are going to take it. You don't know. I was obviously in a really supportive environment. When I got home, my family's very supportive. I'm very, very fortunate about that.
And had you thought that you maybe were a lesbian before you went on the show?
So I had a lot of experience with people being really negative about lesbians in particular. Especially like weirdly, I had like a lot of gay friends, and it was a joke that got repeated so often that I was like, oh, you know where it starts to sit in you. And it's like, oh, dirty lesbian or something like that. And they used to take the mick out of like certain shoes I wore and like call them my lesbian boots. And I was like, oh, like derogatory almost, which is why I think on the show I call myself a gay woman at some points. And I think you really need to take ownership of the word lesbian, and we need to take away the stigma from it, because it's not a dirty word, it's a good word, and it's perfectly fine to be. And I'm sure they were just joking, but sometimes jokes sit with the people who it affects.
Yeah. And it's like such a powerful word as well, because, you know, there's all of this history that
So much. I did lots of reading. Yeah, I have like I have a little annotated book. Like I have like a little, I'm writing in the margins going, oh. But yeah, it meant a lot to me, and I've done a lot of like, I've had a whole year. People forget, like they think we're still there.
Yeah.
I've had a whole year. I know so much more now, and I'm really like passionate about it, and it's been really good, and I think that was important for me.
Yeah. So, Thomas, your journey. So, I think if I remember correctly, you said on the show that you weren't necessarily quite ready to use the word non-binary.
Yeah, I think it's still a journey at the
Yeah.
moment in terms of like identifying myself. But what I've kind of realised is perhaps I don't really need labels at the moment. So I just kind of spend this time figuring out who I am and just be happy with I'm just Tom.
Yeah, you're just Tom. So, when did you sort of realise on the island that this might be something that you wanted to talk about with the therapists?
So I was actually reading a book on the island because like we had a lot of downtime. So we were told like bring books with you.
I
and-
remember you brought 2 books,
Yeah,
and you afterwards we were like,
yeah. One was Moby Dick because I thought it was funny because of the show as such. But
didn't see that one.
no. But the other one was Is Gender Fluid, which I saw on the bookshelf just before I left, and I thought, you know what, I want to be like a good ally as such and find out more about it. And then I started reading it, and I realised a lot of it's kind of resonating with me. And then I finished it. I had a session with a cat basically straight afterwards, and I think the show brings out a lot of emotions in you already. I think I was at a point where I just needed to open up and just confess everything. So I was just basically chatting at Kat for like an hour about everything. Most of it got cut because it's just me rambling. But yeah, and Kat was very supportive. And I'm just so thankful for the island in terms of that. Just letting me open up like that. And because in my day-to-day life, I don't know, I have a very supportive like group around me. But I never really felt like I could open up about that because it's like gender and identity. I don't think it's discussed often enough at the moment. It's a lot about sexuality or just other things, and yeah, it's just I'm happier for it now.
And the two go hand in hand as well, you know.
Yeah.
Like you experienced on the island, understanding your sort of gender identity better will really help any sexual journey that you go on, whether you want a sexual journey or not. Like, it was great seeing, you know, at the end of the show, I saw at the graduation, you were like wearing a full face of makeup, and I was like, slay. Like,
So Andre and Kat did my makeup for that,
Oh,
and like
that's
why
amazing.
Andre's also wearing makeup. We had like
Yeah.
a session beforehand doing each other's makeup. And no, that was a really lovely experience. I also got to like, spoon with both of them as well. And it was like, oh, it's lovely. I was like, it's like nice little like.
Bonus.
But yeah, and I couldn't be like more thankful for like Andre especially because he opened up about like. Well, I think I mentioned it earlier as such about what it is to be a man as such, and once I had that conversation with him, it still didn't quite feel right to me. But then I was just open with him again, and he was just very receptive and just such a lovely individual. So, yeah.
Sorry, Andre.
What could have been? No, I think it was really great. And again, like, I think just seeing a kind of positive portrayal of masculinity like he was, but he was wearing makeup, he had toenail polish on, and like it really kind of opens up those conversations about you know, what it is to be positively masculine or positively feminine, or, you know, I think you all had such different stories. Was it resonant for you both being on an island with other virgins who, did that some of their experiences chime with yours? Did you feel like you were able to kind of feel relief from talking about people with a shared experience?
I think, like, before the show, all of us kind of like felt very individual. So we didn't feel like other people were sharing experiences. I mean, we knew, but like we weren't feeling it as such. And then finally to go to a place where everyone else is a virgin, it's kind of a relief because beforehand I felt like a freak as such. I felt like, oh, no one wants me and I'm just going to be like this forever. And then I met all these lovely people who I didn't quite understand what virgins, but then you get to know them as such and you realise, oh, they each are going through their own thing as such. And then I realised by the end, oh, it's like we are all going through our own things and we're not freaks. We're all just normal people, just lovely.
Yeah. And the growing confidence as well.
Mm.
Can I kind of ask you both what the word virgin meant to you before the show and now?
Everyone's favourite question. I mean, for me, it was something. It's odd. It's always odd. Everyone's, oh, really? Oh, and there was a lot of people who were like, well, why? What have you done or not done to like, what's wrong with you? Like, or sometimes people were like almost, so when you're on dating sites and stuff, some people fetishized it and they were like, oh, you're untouched. I was like, oh, done like that. But there's a lot of people who were like, oh, you're a virgin. Oh, that's really hot and everything like this. But then you go on a date with them and they're like, come back to my house. And I'm like, no. And they're like, why not? And I'm like, well, you're not going to give it to the first one that I've been on first dates before. But like, it's almost like people see it as either a failure or something to be won, and they see it as something that they get to have or you have to give away, and it's not anything like that. It's just an experience. And I think after being on the island, I know that we call ourselves the virgins, but that's not who we are. Like Dave lost it on the island, still one of the virgins. Yeah, it's like
it was virgins and Dave.
It was virgins and Dave. And we had a picture and we like grayscaled him out. We were like, he's gone, dead to us. But for me now, it's less of a kind of label as it is just what we call ourselves. I don't feel as connected to my virginity as I did before. I don't feel like it's something like a big anvil over my head or like something people can see flashing on my forehead. I feel like it's just what I am at the moment, and it just totally changes.
Doesn't define us,
No.
really, because like beforehand, like when I told people I was a virgin, it was a lot of laughing and pointing, saying, "Ha, you're a virgin," and yet now it's just like if they do that to me, it's like, okay, sure, fine, that's your reaction, but at the same time, I don't really care about it now, which is like a massive leap forward from where we all were.
Yeah, it's kind of unbothered about it.
Yeah.
It's exciting to see it on the show, but like it's a case of we're like, oh yeah, that's what that means. It's not just our nickname for each other anymore.
Did you find that people, and I actually think that this is also a question for now, even being on the show, that people infantilize you a lot? Because I felt like when I was discussing the show and people were like, oh, I don't know, these therapists, like, are they taking advantage? And I'm like, well, they're adults and they need to go there because they want to learn how to lose their virginity. So talk about this infantilization.
Episode 1 feedback.
Oh, everyone was like speaking on our behalf, like.
I think we all got diagnosed with autism.
Yes, we did.
Told we were vulnerable adults. They were like, oh my God, they've kidnapped them.
Yeah.
They've been taken against their will. And we were like, no.
It's like these cougars are preying on these vulnerable virgins.
The horrible comments against the therapists who were literally there to help. I mean, I've been saying to people, I was like, if you go to a GP for whatever reason, you're like, I've got a what on my foot. Are you going to go up and go, I only want the doctor that looks like this, that I want a doctor that has like brown hair, is my age, this kind of build. Like, I only want a doctor I'm sexually attracted to. No, you go to the doctor who's going to be the best help for you. And although they were all hot, which you had to.
All very attractive.
Yeah, we walked in and we were like, why is the Greek chorus here? But we walked in, they were, these are the most attractive people in the world. And they're also confident as well, which increases it.
Yeah.
Because you've got to remember, when you meet these people in person, they radiate confidence. And it was kind of a case of, like, it's so crazy comparing ourselves to them. But yeah, it's one of those things, isn't it? I went a bit off topic. I got distracted by thoughts of the therapist. What was the question? But yeah, they did infantilize us. I feel like there was a lot of, all these poor virgins, they don't know what they're in for. Like, oh, all of this boohoo stuff. And now everyone's, oh, you're so brave.
Like, we went to a party last night and just everyone
Right.
came up to us to say, you're so brave for doing this.
So brave.
I mean, it's really nice to have that feedback. But I mean, after a while. it's
After the
kinda like,
30th
yeah.
one, it's like, they're like, you're so brave. And I was like, I cried the whole time. Like, I was not brave. I was learning, and I saw it as an educational experience. And I think that's what we need to look at it as, is people are saying like, oh, they're taking advantage, they just want to touch them up and all of this. And you see these poor, like, these horrible comments because you feel like you don't get it. Like, they're like, of course she's crying, like, with that person touching her. I'm like, no, it's not about the person. It's about an education. And every single one of them was so kind, so patient, took so much time to make sure that they knew us before going through anything. And it gets completely lost by people who are just focused on sex is penetration.
Yeah.
And
They see a bit of news to you and maybe lose their
oh
shit.
yeah, they're like, oh my God, like the hubaloo, like craziness. But it was so empowering for some people. Like, I mean, I was thinking about it by the end, but I think I would have needed a bit more time. But I only just discovered something. So but like, for some people, they came back from these sessions where you've been naked, which is a very vulnerable moment, and you just saw them glow. Louise, Jesus, she glowed from the inside. She looked like a lamp. She came and we were like, what happened? She said, I just had the most amazing session. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Well, I think it's close to us having time to wrap up, but I just have another question. Would you recommend Virgin Island for your virgin comrades?
I mean,
I
it's
highly-
therapy. You've got to think it's therapy. It's intense. I found it really worth it. It did a lot for me. But therapy isn't, like, maybe this isn't for everyone, but I think if you think this would work for you and you want to do it, what is stopping you?
You've got to be open to crying a lot.
Oh.
You cry so
I
much. on that
promise
island.
everybody else cried.
Like, after my first session, I was just bawling. but,
Yeah.
like, I think the confidence it gives you, Virgin Island, it's like, I'm so thankful for the experience, and like, other people in our situation should definitely think about it. If the show gets renewed or something, I think people should be applying.
Yeah, but you've got to remember, it's therapy. You have to engage with the therapist. Like, you've got to remember, out of the 12 of us, only one person actually managed to get to that point where they were like, yeah, I'm ready. The rest of us we got so many useful things and we took that home. And now you've seen, like, I don't know if we're allowed to say it because it's the last episode, but like, at the end, they tell you how many people have lost it. And they go, four more people have lost it. So that's out of the 12 of us, 5 in a year. And
In fact, now someone else like has realised that they aren't a virgin because I think there's a little bit of like internalized sort of homophobia as such, because she didn't think she could lose it to a woman, so she identified as a virgin, and since has kind of realised, no, perhaps I'm not a virgin as such, and that's been quite.
the
lovely to
numbers
see.
keep growing.
Yeah, I think halfway now.
We're all just like, like, for me, because I still am. But it's so lovely because we have a little group chat, and when somebody's been losing it, they go straight to the group chat. You won't believe what just happened. Like, somebody actually called me from the other room. Oh my God. I was like, why are you calling me? Go cuddle or something. I don't know. Like,
But sometimes though, in the group chat, it's a little bit annoying because someone puts guess what, and they don't respond for like a couple
3
hours,
days.
and we have to like guess.
I'm not going to say someone. Raj, stop it.
What? Oh.
For anything. He's like, guess what? 3 days later, he tells us. I'm like, you can't do this to us. We every time we're like, oh my God, it's happened. And then we don't know for 3 days.
That's something else about the show. It gave us some great friendships, I will say. I love our group chat and like just like hanging- and just like hang out because we visit each other as well this last year.
Yeah,
and
the
just,
little
like,
visits are so fun. And we're finally allowed to post photos.
yeah. We'll have to do Canal Street again some point.
Oh, absolutely. I loved Canal Street. It was great.
Well, I'm wishing you the best over the coming years. You know, maybe Pride. Who knows what's around the corner?
Yes, bring me to Pride. I went to London Pride. I want to go. I've been told I need to go to Brighton. I need to go to, where's the other one? Somebody told, I think Manchester as well. They were like, they said you need to go to all the Prides. I was like, oh, my schedule.
It's filling up. But yeah, I'm wishing you all the best in your journeys. I'm hoping you find someone who is as understanding and meaningful as your surrogate partner therapists. And I also just, I'm so proud of you guys for just going out and slaying it. And thank you so much for joining me on The Spills. We'll see you again next time.
Thank you.
You're even tall for it.
Yeah. Don't know where to look.